Peace, peace, peace. How y'all doing out there? Welcome once again to Poetry's Paradise. I'm your host, J.W. Attebury, and my guest here tonight is Nkosi Cain. Thank you for coming here, brother. Hey, let's get started. Let the people know who you are, man. You know?
Oh man, Joel, it's good to be here, man. And it was dope being at our last event in Brooklyn,
Indeed.
man. We had a really good time, man. So I'm Nkosi Cain. I'm originally from Brooklyn, New York. I'm an advocate. I'm an activist, an abolitionist, spoken word poet, mentor, lecturer, and just really committed to building community, man, and changing the oppressive systems, man, systemic racism and shit like that. So glad to be here, man, to share some of my craft and my journey with you all.
Hey, that's what's up, brother. We appreciate that. You know what I mean? Like, yo, and I just want to say for the record, too, just being right there in that hindsight of the event, you are one dope hell of a poet, man. Spoken word artist, whichever you claim to fame. But you get busy. You know what I mean?
Oh, man, thank you, man. That's humbling to even say, man. Thank you so much, man.
Yeah, man. I was just like, wow, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, man, I would like to have you let people know exactly your humanitarian ways and how you got started with this poetry, like what inspired you to become a poet, you know?
Yeah. Joel, I started my poetry, man, when I was inside, man. I found myself serving like close to 20 years inside in prison, New York State prisons. Actually, you should check out my true crime story on VH1. It's entitled Diamond D. That and my Robin Hood Hero Award really highlights my journey, man, of incarceration, my journey of what change and hope looked like for me in there, right? I came out with about 5 degrees, man, and so radically shift my whole paradigm. So since 2004 to now, man, I've had the real fortune, man, of really impacting not only New York, man, but our country, man, around how to reimagine your life after prison, right? And also how to use that narrative to change oppressive systems. So it's been supernatural, man. My journey out has been supernatural. Currently, I run my own company. My company is called Touchdown NYC. I provide mentorship to people getting out of prison. The other thing that I do, I'm a director over at the GodSquad here in Brooklyn. It's an anti-gun violence organization. Okay. So anything that I do is connected to this liberation work.
Hey, that's what's up, man. That's fly. I mean, can't deny all that positiveness right there. That's beautiful in its own right. But yeah, man. So when you first started doing your poetry, like,
yeah,
what ignited that fire inside you? What's that like? Yo, let me talk to my spirit. Let me reach down to my soul, man, and bring it out to fruition. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So one night I was looking for another way to. So I was teaching a lot of the classes on the inside, and I was trying to figure out how to impart some of this information on brothers who were going to the yard, because there was just a certain cadre of people who just wasn't coming into the classroom. Yeah. Not everybody go to college when you up top, man, right? I don't even know if they got college up there anymore. But I was trying to figure out another way to impart information outside. Not only me, a few other brothers. So one night I happened to stay up and look at this movie called Deaf Poetry. It was on, I don't know. I was like, yo, this is phenomenal. I saw this guy named Saul Williams, this dude named D Black. I was like, yo, I could do that. Like, I can take my body of history, because I'm an African history major, right? So I could take my body of learnings and put it into poetry and give it to people. Maybe they'll get it that way. Right. So lo and behold, we created a poetry group and wound up doing a lot of poetry in the yard and then poetry on stage. And so from those moments, I found that poetry or spoken word poetry was a way for me to transport my information, package it, entertain people, but also inform them. So that was my motivation behind creating poetry. And then I saw slam, and that was it. I was sold.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you, describe your writing process, saying from idea to a finished poem.
Yeah. So like, for instance, man, this is in real time, right? As you know, my nephew recently unfortunately committed suicide, and I don't try to even put shade on this, man. I try to democratize it because mental health is a thing in our Black community, right? Yes, sir. So it's a thing that's on the grid right now, and I'm also thinking about what he was battling with, some of the challenges that he was battling with, some of the mental health challenges he was battling with. And so from that information right there, I moved to my ideation phase, thinking about how do I capture his life? How do I capture his struggles? But also, how do I celebrate his life in this moment so that family can also feel the weight of this poem and feel transformed? So from that information, from that energy, I started picking up my pen, and I haven't even picked the pen up yet. But from that information, from that energy, and then equipped with my intellectual properties, my history, and my understanding of human behavior, I start chiseling away at the papyrus, man. And before you know it, I'll come away with a whole piece. My only challenge is not the creation of the poem, it's the retention of the poem. Like I'm encroaching on 60 now. So before I used to be able to write a poem, cap it in 1.2 days. Now it's a little more challenging because I have a bit more things going on in my life.
Yeah. So how do you overcome like that block? You know what I mean? That barrier that's like keeping you like trying to keep you leveled out, but the balance with all of that.
Well, a couple of things, man. Like for me, I already realized that the things that matters most in life can't be quantified, right? It can't be bought. It's not cars. It's not jewelry. It's happiness, man. It's joy. It's family. It's community. And so those things are things that matters to me, right? Those are my values. And also, I also can determine what type of trauma I want to bring into my body. In real time, I can determine what type of trauma I decide to bring my body. I can deal with it outside of my body. And so I don't have to bring it into my body. Just like my nephew's passing. Listen, don't trust me. I'm not desensitized. I am deeply impacted. This is fresh. This just happened, right? I'm deeply impacted. But I also know even in this moment, weakness is not something my family needs in this moment. They need strength. They need humility. They need balance. They need someone who can hold it together even in times like this. So I think that the creator has created and designed me for times like this. So I can take this. I can handle my family and help them coach through this thing, man. Even through my art, right? Even through my art, which I plan to do also. So between that, man, and just staying spiritually balanced. And the last thing I'd say, brother, is that my life is really tempered with humility, servitude, and gratitude. Like for real. Humility, servitude, and gratitude. And so with those things, man, I rest in a state of perpetual balance and joy.
Yeah, that's what's up, man. Like I said, once again, man, my condolences to you and your family. You know what I mean? And keeping you and your family in prayers, man. You know, be that soldier from God. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Yeah, well, this is Poetry's Paradise. And why don't you give the people out there a taste of your reality? You know what I mean? With that poetry you do.
So let me see which piece, man. I'm really honored in this moment, man. So I'm gonna try to so one of my comrades, his name was Christ is dope poet, man. Real dope poet, strong poet. Him and I collaborated on so many pieces. And so I'll start off by doing one of his poems and then I'll eventually run into a couple of mine. So his side of one of our poems entitled Mention.
All right. The mic is yours.
When it's all said and done, I want to be mentioned. You can find me mentioned in the rest in peace epitaphs written on the corners of every hood like futureless thugs. Mentioned that I sung a song for you, danced with my father, and found ribbons in the sky inside the side pocket of poverty. Mention me at Lyric Lounge, Sugar Shack, food for thought and amongst real poetry poets. Mentioned that I found redemption while walking a green mile, 8 by 10 cells, suffering souls in cell blocks, steel bar matrix where there was no choice of red or blue, only state greens and blacks. I want to be mentioned. When it's all said and done, I just want to be mentioned. Mention that it was me who wrote to revolting slave wage workers in Indonesia, that I danced Africa on Coney Island's boardwalk, poured libation and chanted 7 ashes to the goon goons at Maafa. Found me mentioned in Surat El Bakra, rolled my thoughts in the backwood, inhale my chakra, and then mention me in your highest thoughts. Mention me in the prison letters of Dr. King, and I'll tell you why the cage bird really sings, and why James Baldwin saw evidence of things unseen. Mention me. And when it's all said and done, I just want to be mentioned. That's Christ is poem.
All right, brother. All right. You know what I'm saying? Snaps. Hey, that was fly. Definitely, you know what I'm saying? Definitely universally fly. Hey, shoot us another one, man. You know what I mean?
So here's the let me give you Darfur, man. Like, I'm really passionate about what's happening in Africa. There's still some genocides going on in certain parts of Africa, so I'm always keeping my eyes painted over there. So here's a poem entitled Darfur.
Okay.
Come, let us sit in a cipher, spark peyote, put our ears to the earth and listen. Death mantras sounding like Arabic songs, piercing the call of a dawn. But this poem is not about Islam, more like the trail of tears or buried hearts at wounded knee. Let us pour libation for uncounted bodies in Darfur, for the tainted soil of headless corpse planted by Janjaweed in Darfur, a place where cemeteries are trapped in children's laughter. And that just doesn't seem natural to me, but my poems are not about nature, more like support for Sudan, as if Darfur was Israel. And the Wailing Wall included Bob and the Wailers. No redemption songs, no woman, no cry, simply flatline poems crying from the belly of Africa. This poem is anti-IMFs and conflict stones, trilateral commissions and conflict zones. In the West, Darfur seems unknown like COINTEL. See, this is deeper than the Panthers, more like wholesale Tuskegee experiments with AKs. I say it's time to mount up. A million-man march to Darfur, Farrakhan the 5-star, Maxine Water riding hardtop, and then off to Darfur must, because what happens in Darfur happens to all of us.
Hey man, snaps on that, snaps. Definitely getting busy up in here, man. Reminded me of the poetry event. You know what I mean? I knew you had it in. I knew you had something special in you. I was like, yo, that dude is special. You know what I mean? I could tell, you know what I mean? So being along as a colleague of this poetry thing, I could tell, you know what I mean? So yeah, man. So go off topic. Getting back to when you was behind the wall, you know what I mean? Like, was the ciphers complete? Like, was y'all all like, you know, saying, putting your heads together and saying, yo, we gonna write about this, we gonna do some healing, we gonna do some wounds of war type things? Like, what was that all about? You know what I mean?
Yeah, it was interesting because the way that we start our poetry circles off, we had a classroom and all, man. We called that, I think, Underneath the Harvest Moon, right? We even created a book, man. It was a compilation.
Yeah.
And what we do is that we come down to class, and the first thing we do is go, yo, anybody wrote something new, let us hear it. So we'll go around, whoever got something new, we want to hear it. And now while we hearing it, we critiquing that. Yo, that third line, nah, you need to take that out. Yo, that poem's too braggadocio. Yo, who you think you walk with, man? Yo, that shit was trash, right? And then after that, we'll get into our lesson plan. We had lesson plans. Some lesson plans will be from a newspaper. Some lesson plans will be, yo, how to write an onomatopoeia. Yo, how to write a poem, how to write a narrative-based poem, right? How to center your voice through poetry. So we had different approaches to our writing style. And then from that, most of us was just writing from a place of from our own base, right? From our contextual experiences, from our knowledge. And so, you know, that's what inspired me to write, man. And so even today, whenever you hear my writing, you'll hear some history. You'll be entertained, but there's some stuff inside of that, man, because I burned some midnight oil for this thing.
That's right. I feel you on that. You know what I'm saying? So when you about to approach to write, do you think of a title first, or is it somewhere else? Was it music inclined to like navigate to start penning, or is it just casual thoughts? You know what I'm saying? Like you just like, okay.
I think for me, Joe, it's different approaches at different times, right? Like some nights, the pen and paper may be by the bed. I'll get up and I'm able to write a whole poem right there. I wake up, a whole poem is in my head. Then there are other days where I'm writing a poem throughout the day, line by line, right? Verse by verse as it comes to me throughout the day. Then there's some days where I start the poem off with a title, right? And that's just depending on my approach to that poem for that day. Because if I see something that happens in my mind, oh, this is social commentary, I'm writing about that, right? Like the sister who I wrote the poem about, the sister who I saw living on a tunnel with an A train, right? That was that's social commentary, right?
Right.
So some days it's just based off that. Oh shit, I saw the sister living in a tunnel in the A train. Yo, I'm gonna relate this poem to Harriet Tubman, right? And I'm off and going. Harriet on the A train, That's the name of the poem, right? So sometimes it comes to birth just like that.
You just carry it, huh? Just like, I mean, like shoot it out.
Yeah, I named the poem Harriet.
Yeah, I could dig it. Even with my own writing experience a lot of things that I see down here, like here at the shore, what I'm saying, down in Cape May, it ain't all fun and glory, what I'm saying? A lot of folks think like you at the shore, what I'm saying, it's all spectacular. There's things that happen outside the developments of the environment. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
been here 33 years, so it just comes to me and I'm just like, ooh, ooh, you know what I'm saying? Like you know what I'm saying, just navigating travel. You know what I mean? So I always allow the pen to bleed. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So,
for sure.
that's that
Sure.
beautiful moment of dexterity. You know what I'm saying? Just to let the ink just bleed all over. You know what I mean? Now let me ask you, do you write in your phone or do you write on pen and pad?
Yeah, I can't write in my phone, man. I might put a verse in my phone if I'm outside and I got a thought. I might open up my Google Drive and jot some words in there and go back to my email later. But I
Yeah,
can't write in my phone. That's not my style of writing. My style of writing has always been pen or paper to paper because there's something about that connection. There's something that happens in the cerebellum and the cerebral cortex, I should say, when you are writing things down, man. So and I've always been a writer. Like my thing is writing. I have a love for words, man. I
yeah,
love the use of words. So writing for me has always been a very intimate process that I don't think I'll sacrifice. Now I'm grateful for the computer, but even before the computer, man, I'm like, I
yeah,
gotta write this thing down.
yeah. I feel you on that. So that's like a whole experience. You know what I mean? When you writing on, like what pen or pencil to paper, you know what I'm saying? I personally feel like things become a little complex when in your writing style. Like I write my phone a lot, but when I'm writing down on paper, it becomes a little more complex. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I
yeah,
get it, you know what I mean? But it's just quicker for me because I'm like, my brain's always traveling. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, even if I'm typing a poem, it's like complex. You know what I mean? But hey, I love the pen and paper. You know what I'm saying? I really do. Cause I'll check some stuff out and be like, I feel like I ain't even write that. I'm like, yo, that gotta, it's out there. But yeah, man, yo, shoot us another one of them poems, man. You know what I'm saying? Don't don't deprive us.
yo. So we just actually speaking around social commentary. We just got through talking about the sister, man, who
Yeah,
I was getting on the A train one day, and the sister came out of the tunnel. By the way, the sister was extremely young here in New York. She was extremely young, too young to be living inside of that tunnel,
I feel
right?
you.
That's where she came from, and she asked me for $1. Nobody seemed to see this sister, even they was reading their newspapers or whatever. But I was by the back because I get off at the back of the train.
Yeah.
Then the sister said, F you. I don't usually preface my poetry, but this one you need a preface. Then the sister said, F your dollars, too much blood on it anyway. And she went right back through the tunnel. So as soon as that happened, I knew that this was a poem. I knew that I was going to forever venerate this experience that I had and bring this sister's life to surface. So I named this poem Harriet on the A Train.
All right. Mike is yours.
She appeared to be about 30. Her body structure was like that tennis player, though a bit hunched over. She asked me for $1. Her hands were bronze from years of subways, underground railroads. She said living there was part of Harriet's legacy. And every dollar contributed to that history, those underground trips. The way I was dressed, she asked me, was I an investor or something? And if so, I needed to invest my dollars before I got laid off. She said I looked the trusting type, nothing like Ponzi or Madoff. Man, give me $1, she said, as if only my dollars could take her there, to a time when her hands held more than poverty, more than the stench and filth she's seen in Saigon, Hiroshima, Vietnam, freedom fighter of the dark. She told me to believe in Zen. I didn't quite know what she meant, but I was meditating on transferring this yin, this sister, this dollar, spirit similar to my mother. I dug into my pocket, sort of felt like runaway slaves running through my palms, Apaches riding horseback within the creases of my hands. In fact, I think I felt a Black Panther. She smiled, asked me if $1 would kill me, like those in Cote d'Ivoire, Jamaica, Indonesia, South Africa, places where death costs less than $1. She smiled, then said, fuck your dollar. It's too much blood on it anyway. Then she turned around and shuffled off back through that underground railroad.
Oh man. You lighten it up tonight, man. You lighten it up. You know what I'm saying? I'm hoping the listeners out there are paying attention and taking heed to what's being said. You know what I mean? Messages within the poem, you know what I mean, of reality. I mean, that's what I call it. You know, hey man, I got another question.
Yes, sir.
So, how was performing a poem different from writing one?
Yeah, Joel, performing a poem for me is all about embodiment, right? Like that, especially for me, there's one of my poems. It's probably the poem I'm going to do next because it's my favorite poem. This poem has so many riffs and so many tips and turns, and I wrote this poem for my girl, right? Yeah. So many riffs and so many twists and turns, but the poem you can embody. You can take a jump shot in the poem. You can you can do a little 6-step in the poem. And so there's something about performing the poetry because, sometimes people will hear your message through talking, but then other times people will remember your message if through acting, right?
Right.
People also want to be because people learn differently, right? So I think acting and performing the poem gives people a variety of options to digest the story.
Yeah. I feel you. I mean, hey man, there's lessons to be learned. We come from that school, each one teach one.
Yeah, for sure.
So just had to ask that what makes a spoken word performance memorable to you?
Oh man, for me it's humor, it's satire, it's information, it's riffs, it's speeded, the poem speeds and then slows down to a screeching halt, then takes you back up, then brings you back down, flies you all around, but lands you properly. After all that, it lands you really nice like that airplane. So for me, that's the true hallmarks of a poem that makes me remember it. That is funny, it's fun, it's satire, it's serious, it takes off, it slows down, it jerks me around, it pushes me back, and then it lands me on the out. And that makes me jump up and go, yo, that right. So I need to be entertained, right? When I'm coming to hear some poetry, and I respect the artist, man, but for me, I need to be entertained. So I'm not only informed, right? I need to be entertained. I need to be captivated. So for me, I want to see the poem. I don't even want to just hear the poem. I want to see the poem.
It's like that old school song, right? Can you feel it? Yeah, but I feel you on that. So let me get your opinion. Because you're a dope writer, you're a dope performer. You know what I'm saying? You got it. Now, when you go to a poetry event, right? Say it's outside the system. When I say outside the system, meaning the jurisdiction where you live at, whatever. How do you feel about when you hear certain poems? Do you feel like sometimes some might be dry? Or do you feel like some has potential, but the delivery is not executed? I would like to hear your feelings on that so others out there can learn something, because everybody have a gift, but a lot of times they might be nervous, they might just be, not absorbing the energy from the audience or whichever. So I would love to hear your opinion on that.
Yeah, one of the greatest fears in the world is standing up and speaking before a crowd. That is one of the greatest fears in the world. So I commend anyone who's brave and courageous enough to get up, open up their mind, and become vulnerable to a crowd. Like that is the first step towards being a great poet, right? Having the courage and tenacity and the will to want to do that and to stand there and do it, because you're not going to be good at first. You may even be trash, but you got to keep on powering through that, right? Ain't nobody going to start off like Gwendolyn Brooks or everybody starting off like Shakespeare does. No, we're going to find our way into this thing, right? So that's the first thing. Second thing, I think some poets may need to become a little bit more invested in this craft, right? And one of the things for me is I don't mind poets reading their poems through phones or books. I don't care. I just want to be informed and entertained. For me, I got to cap all my material because there's something about my investment into this genre for me, right? There's something about it. And I know that everybody don't have the ability to be retentive, right? Everybody ain't gonna be cerebral in this thing. Yeah. But for me, part of my dedication to this craft is me capping every poem that I write and then embodying it and then giving it back to the people. That's my dedication to the people. That's my dedication to the craft. And so when I'm out at events, part of my dedication want to also see my contributions up there on the stage. That's what I want to see. And that's what I gravitate to. Now, you can stand up there and read a dope poem, and I will digest it like Amiri Baraka did in that poem, Somebody Blew Up America. Like, that poem was revolutionary and transformative. He read that poem, and I will stand there and listen to him read that poem again. So if your poem is like that, then you should stand there and read it. But don't bore the audience. If somebody took 5 or 10, 2-3 minutes out of their life to come sit there and read, don't do that to the people, man. Don't come up there with a poem that doesn't really excite the crowd or something you ain't worked on but trying to work on. Nah, approach this craft with a little more intentionality, right? A little more authenticity, a little more creativity, and a little more respect for this genre. And by the way, spoken word hasn't gotten the type of attention that I thought it would have had. Man, we were on the road maybe about 10 years ago. Then the ball dropped somewhere, and now it's back on an uptick. So I hope that this uptick brings in some real dope poets, because there's some up-and-coming young authors and young poets who are really creative, and I want to tap into their creativity.
Yeah. Let's just pause for a minute. Are you close to your router, or you coming in kind of faded?
Let me see what is on in here. Yes, I am. What you want me to do? All right, let me try to come this way. How is this? Is this better for you?
Yeah. You good. You good right. Money. It's good money. You know what I'm saying? You're getting too fly on here to have the, the phase out, man. You know what I'm saying? So just want to make sure you Gucci. I mean, yeah, but as you were saying, I get it. I understand. I get a little nervous a little bit. So I'm just like, but I grab a hold of the energy that's in the audience, and then I break out of that little shell. You know what I mean? Because I just be like, I hope this joint is good, or what I'm saying, hope they can dig it. You know what I mean? So I'll just, even if I recite it one way, I recite it another way if I'm in front of people. You know what I mean? So I had to learn to do that from, one of my peoples, you know what I mean, who get busy too. You know what I mean? But
Joel, I'm always nervous before I perform.
I can't tell.
Nervous before I do a poem. Yeah. But I also know that, listen, Joe, you can have a poem from 1990. Depending on what energy you use to deliver that poem will determine the freshness and newness of that same old antiquated poem.
Yeah, I feel you. Yeah. But nah, like I said, I hear you on that. So I'm glad to hear that you said that. So I'm glad I'm not one out of many that feel that way. You like coming to the stage now, you like, oh damn, they want me up there right now. Can't y'all put somebody for me? But yeah, man, like I said, just hearing your poetry, I was like, yo, dude is real nice with it and whatnot. I was like, he might have been doing this for a long time, but I just ain't really get a chance to rap with you and whatnot. So I was like, yo, let me have him on the show. So
I was grateful too, man. Thank you for having me.
Brain or whatever. I'm a fan. I'm gonna say it like that. I'm a fan, bro. Of a lot of you. So yeah, man. So I appreciate having you here. You know what I'm saying? That's dope and awesome by itself. Yeah. So is there anything particular that you would like to give a message to upcoming poets? You know what I'm saying? That they can like take home with them and just become vibrant. You know what I
mean? Yeah. The thing, man, they asked Frederick Douglass, what could he tell? What would he tell the future abolitionists and future Black leaders of tomorrow? He said, tell them I said agitate. Right. And so the only thing I would tell future and aspiring poets, man, is to use your voice for social consciousness. Use your voice to promote social good and social change, not just to be entertainers, not just to, I don't know, win a slam, but to think more critically and more conscious about your narrative and your voice and how you can wield that for social good.
Yeah. Do you feel like poetry can create social change?
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's why they had the last poets. That's why they had Mary Baraka. That's why they had Sonia Sanchez, right? That's why they had, yes, absolutely. In fact, historically, bards were the first one to get annihilated, right? Because you got to kill the poets first, because the poets are the messengers.
Yeah, definitely on that. So, what responsibility, if any, does a poet have to society?
Yeah, I think that the poet's responsibility is to look on society and to give it back to society as a mirror of itself. That's what I think our responsibility is in to this genre. I think we are. I think poets are held to a higher standard, man, because of our creativity, the way that we are looking on the world, and the way that we are thinking about giving it back to itself.
Right.
So I do think that the poet or the bard or the griot or the jelly has a high responsibility to as keepers of the culture.
Yeah. I got a question for you. If,
Yeah.
if poetry was a city, where would it live?
Oh man, if poetry was a city, it would live underwater.
Why you say that?
Because it would have to be somewhere fluid. It would have to be somewhere pure, somewhere peaceful, somewhere protected. It would have to be somewhere. Yeah, it'd have to be somewhere where access can't be easy.
Mm.
Yeah,
Sort of like the Caribbean islands.
Too much access, we lose its value.
Sort of like the Caribbean islands.
Yeah, it'd have to be. You know what? Even if it'd have to be an island. Yeah, it would have to be an island.
I feel that, you know what I'm saying, because you got peace, but you might have a little disturbance. It can't be like the city, because your poetry can turn and twist into something unnatural. Because we still in spiritual warfare, so
Yeah,
so it's
yes,
fight
sir.
not. But where do you get the time to just chill and relax? Like, so yeah, you right on that. I mean, fluid and everything and whatnot. But yeah, man. Here's my question. I titled this show "Poetry's Paradise." What's your take on that?
I think I mean, I don't want to reduce it down to the moniker that is because that would just be too basic. But I do
Speak
think
freely,
that it's an attempt for poets to arrive at a place of a place of higher consciousness, a place of higher understanding, a place of higher engagement, a place where a poet could be reimagine their craft, right? A place where poets could be heard, centered, and activate their agency and autonomy. So when I think of Poet's Paradise, I think of all of those things that are available for the poet, and of course a platform to get the poet better democratized.
Thanks. I feel like when I created this space, a poet shouldn't be afraid. A poet shouldn't think that they're not good enough. I feel like a poet should just come through and just do their 1-2 thing without judgment. You know what I mean? But also, there's also an area for conversation.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? But getting that out the window right now, and let's hear some more of that good poetry, brother.
Yo, so here's one of my favorite poems, right? I wrote this poem for my girl, and it has a lot of those twists and turns I told you about. It's my favorite piece. Anyway, here it goes. What the hell? And I know she probably tired of hearing this poem, but whatever. She's like water for chocolate. Her lips flavor cafe con leche. Her hips sways with the sounds of Havana. I think I can sense Africa in her. Common sense that she needed something different, but with a swagger. Like Victor Manuel, Tito Puente got my soul dancing merengue. Most days, she's sweet like Cuban entrees. Arroz blancos, con habichuelas negras got me speaking Spanish dialects, ancient mother tongues. Her tongue soothed me like Saturn. Blessed with clairvoyant talent, she peeped my game. Now, I want to be like Mike. Hang my jersey in the rafter. Put my game in the Hall of Fame. Show ESPN clips of how I scored my points. In fact, take this point. She and I, we're a team now. She called me into existence doing late night meditation. I came with the sun. She calls me Ra. She's antiquity in the present by Harlem Renaissance. A Langston Hughes, poor boy blues. She's a blessing Clawson and Zinga's warrior cry. She's a Pilates. Buns of steel and 3 boot camps at night. She works me out. And that feels so natural. Like flaxseed, ginger root, horsetail. Smells like love spell. Called the witch doctor, I'm cursed. She burnt sage around my body during the night, my night nurse. Her thighs are therapeutic. Her eyes are like rainbows, illuminate me. Her smile's a symphony of love song sings to me. Maxwell's pretty wings and all. Music so beautiful and all. She claps my face with both hands. I kiss both of them. Told if 2 men ever loved her this much, then I'm both of them. Mi amor, de mi vida. My poetry is sacred, like her life and her spirit. Yo te quiero, mi amor.
Ooh. Hey, that was A1, brother. That was you delivered that so smoothly or not. You know what I'm saying? That's the thing too, having that passion. You know what I'm saying? That ignition that just take you where you want to go. You got that. You know what I mean?
Oh, thank you, man. Thank you, beloved. I'm glad to be here tonight too, man. This is very therapeutic for me.
Things up, man. You know what I'm saying? It's a wave, man. It's a wave. I have a question too.
Yes, sir.
I'm outside of thought. Now, when you're engaging with other poets, do you check for a vibe? You know what I'm saying? Before you really connect with them, or you just be like, "Hey, what's up?" You know what I'm saying? You here too?
You know, yeah, this is a good question, man, because I always start off with books, man. I always start off saying, "Hey, poet, like, what you reading, man?" Right?
Yeah.
And once I figure out what they're reading, then I could pretty much know from the angle that I could approach them from. Because if you haven't done any reading and you're just doing poetry, then I don't know if this is going to be the best use of my time over here, right? Because like I'm into higher thought consciousness. I'm thinking about systems change. I'm thinking about how to use my poetry as a weapon, right? And sometimes as a shield. Yeah. But if that's not your calling, then I mean, ain't nothing wrong with that. But that's why I'm probing, right? Yeah. And so I usually probe through, what books are you reading, man? Like, what information are you intaking?
Yeah, I feel you on that, man. But the reason I get my writing on, what I'm saying, is because I'm from Central Harlem, but I moved down here to the shore at the age of 21. You know what I'm saying? I'm 54, so I've had a balance. I used to go to the Schomburg Library, read books all the time. I read a lot of books by Walter Dean Myers and stuff, and especially when I had that book handed down to me from my brother, from my father. You know what I'm saying? Man, Child in the Promised Land.
Claude Brown.
Yeah, Mr. Claude Brown. Right. So but then I when I moved away, I stopped reading books and stuff like that. But I go off the experience from living and breathing up in Harlem. So, being a part of the Renaissance, remembering the parades they had on 7th Avenue and everything like that, everything is like locked in. And when you just remember, you know what I mean? The old, I call it the old days.
Yeah.
So it's like you, even though at that time I read a lot of books, but at the same time, when I went to this Silly College program and got introduced to Abi O'Doon from the Last Poets, he was my poetry teacher.
I used to go to his house and spit, man.
Oh yeah. So I just gradually learned a different makeup. You know what I mean? I've evolved over the years, but I just was like, wow. But when I get a chance, I read a couple of books when I try to get myself indulging in it. You know what I mean? So everything is a learning process. You know what I mean?
For sure.
Have to, and plus the connectivity with other people. You know what I mean? That even if you ain't reading books, you learning from them. You know what I'm saying? The knowledge. You're doing the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's just about 10 to 15 books. I'm just cerebral with. I just walk with, man.
I feel
they've impacted my life, man. Just not only because as a scholar, it's just that those books have had a supernatural effect on my intellectual properties.
Yeah, and the crazy thing is, even when I was behind the wall, I read a lot of Reader's Digest books. Tom Clancy, all these different books. No, real talk. The crazy thing is because I used to do push-ups off the books for the library.
The digest.
Do it. And then I'll take the books in my room and then just be reading. They're like, yo, you always in there reading, yo. I'm like, dumbass. Take yourself.
Yeah, for sure. I spent a lot of time reading,
Yeah, man. But hey, man, let's get back to this funky poetry, man.
Hey, man. So
Stage is yours, man. Wielded like Thor with the hammer.
so she said my poetry was mere surface talk, and maybe I should go deeper. To a place where the soul speaks in spiritual tongues beyond lust, where we could dance around the universe like old souls and give birth to virgin thoughts. I told her that I've always been here. That I'm in the kinky follicles of her hairs, the itch at the center of her palms, mammary glands, clothed, unclothed, queen robe and all. I told her we could be synchronized hearts, beating to staccato Kama Sutra percussions, moving beyond the drum, beyond fingertips touching. Said she felt my mind's navigational system programmed to her now valley, and that I was only searching for the entrance. I told her no, I was searching for another route to God. I wanted to ease in, past her insecurities and repair broken dreams, perhaps probe her soul like stem cell research and counsel the Phyllis Hyman in her. Or maybe I could just drop these verses like I palm, sing Southern freedom songs, sing songs for Darfur or revolutionary songs until I resurrect the Angela Davis in her. But she said my poetry was mere surface talking. Maybe I should go deeper to a place where the soul speaks in spiritual tongues beyond less, where we could dance around the universe like old souls. I said, sister, better yet, let's act like we first met in a place called Kemet. You'll call me a Sar and I'll call you a Set, live a dynasty or two and have a child named Heru. And if that's too far to see, then just reach out for me. Reach out and touch me as I unlock doors where rooms of passion remain tucked away like abortions. Reach for me. Reach for me like you and arm. Reach for me like Somalian arms reaching out to you in food camps, and I will be there, lurking, just trying to create some more verses.
Oh, man. Man, you getting it on, brother. You getting it on. Like I said, I appreciate, you know what I'm saying? Appreciate what we hearing out here. You know what I mean? And I hope the audience is too, because this is special. You know what I mean? But got another thing, man. You're a GodSquad.
Yeah.
I'm a subject jumper anyway, but the GodSquad. What can you let the audience out there know about that? Like, I mean,
yeah, man. So one of the organizations that I work for is entitled GodSquad. God's is here, right here in Brooklyn, New York. It's right on Church Avenue. They're an anti-gun violence organization with a hyper concentration on young people, right, and community safety, community healing. It's a dope organization, and I guess the best way, actually, I wrote a poem about them. I'm going to pull up their poem. Maybe this poem will be a better explanation of who they are than I could even explain it.
Okay.
So, Joe, should I go into this poem?
Yeah, go into the poem, brother. The stage is yours.
All right. So this is this poem is entitled GodSquad. It will center everything that we do. It's a faith-based organization centered around gun violence. But this is the work that they have been doing for 15 years. I've been there for about a year and a half. But this captures the work that they've done. I work in a place where prayers are not just whispered, faith ain't found in Sunday suits, and hope ain't found in hymns. It's laid claim in their name. They're a GodSquad, not for how loud they preach, but how deep they reach into the broken places where bullets try to erase names and faces. But we speak life anyway. We stand where yellow tape flutters like flags of surrender, but we never gave in. For 15 years, we've been showing up to funerals and front lines, marches in mama's living rooms, to parades and protests where grief sits heavy and life seems like a foreign language. But we translate it anyway, with hopes and hugs, hot meals and high fives. We serve those that the system forgot, the streets misnamed, the headlines blame. We're the ones who walk through gun smoke with gospel, who hold vigils not just for the dead, but for the living, still breathing, but barely believing. This is ministry with a backbone, a prayer with its fists clenched. This is what happened when faith meets the front lines. We don't just stop violence, we raise gardens from its ashes. We plant peace in pavement cracks and water it with every story told, every youth saved, every father who comes home, and every mother whose purpose was born out of pain. We are not perfect, but we are present. And sometimes presence is the loudest kind of protest. This ain't just organizing, it's resurrecting. It's community and communing, where healing looks like us, tired but trying, bruised but believing that God still works miracles in Brooklyn. We don't preach peace, we fight for it. We battle trauma with testimony. We arm the youth with truth before the streets, arm our 10-year-olds with nines. We break bread with the broken. We cry with mothers who got more funeral programs than family photos. This is God's work in a war zone, but this ain't no charity. This is a resistance, a reclamation. It's what happens when faith straps on boots and meets at the crossroads. This is what happens when God's hands stops on a God Squad. This is God Squad. This is God Squad.
Hey, that's what's up, bro. That's what's up.
That's the work that they do.
Amen. I mean, like, awesome. I mean, so my question again is, what poem best represents who you are today?
Oh man, man, that's a good question, man. Because I don't know if I've written any poem that really centers myself or about myself. Which is a really good question, man. It's a really good challenge for myself, man, to accept this challenge that you just posed to me, because I don't have any poem that I could say, yo, this poem really centers who I am as a person.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, like I don't have one of those. I have some poems that got bits and pieces of my narrative stumped inside of them, but yeah, nothing real tangible.
So would you say my archive is me?
Yeah. My archive is me. Yeah.
There you go, right there. It's not just a poem; it's the archive. I mean,
for sure.
Hey man, that's how I say about myself. I used to say that all the time. I'm like, I am the archive. I mean,
yeah, I like that.
If somebody asked me that question, I'm like, the archive, because you built that layer by layer. You built that house. You know what I mean? The house of poems. You know what I mean? So
sure.
So, what legacy do you hope your poetry leaves behind?
Oh man, I hope that my poetry is synonymous with the legacy that I've left behind on my social activism. Right? Like if you Google my name, man, like a dope body of work will populate. Right? So I hope that my poetry will be synonymous with the walk that I've had in my social, my social, my political, my work life, my community life. So, hopefully there's a fine thread that weaves between all of that, man.
Hey, man, let the people know where they can find you. You know what I'm saying? And where they can touch base with you, and just to know who Nkosi Cain is.
Yeah, man. Well, like I said, John, I'm really even trying to center myself, but man, you could just Google me. I'm Googleable now, right? Like I got a couple movies out that you can just Google me, man. Google Nkosi Cain, and I'm not difficult to find. I'm right here in New York City. Dope activist doing some dope work, connected to a lot of systems here. So yeah, you can Google me and I'm easy to find.
Hey, that's what's up, man. You know what I'm saying? Y'all heard them. You heard them. Google his name to his fame of claim. There we have it on that. Hey, brother, can you slice us up? Can you slice us up with 2 more poems?
Yeah, brother. I think I can find 2 more, man. So, we did me and my comrade did a poem for. It's an antiquated poem, but it's still happening. So I think it's really justified. Me and my partner did a poem for the Bell family, man, when Sean Bell was assassinated. We did this dope piece for his family. And like I said, he's not here now, so I'm going to do my version of it. Okay. But, here's the poem. Fire 41 or 51 shots, it's legal to lynch like strange fruit, whether on rooftops or New Jersey Turnpike. Death rotates like turnstiles in my hood where executions occur daily. This is Green Bay killings, kill them before they grow. Blue wall of silence got officers firing, reloading, firing, black boy down, firing. Even if innocent, they'll still kill 100 Bobby Huttons. Families huddle over caskets while Purple Hearts are pent over the shields of New York's finest. They are killing us before we grow. Seem like Bernard Getz is now wearing a shield in vets, whether it's Larry Cobb being shot in the chest or Eleanor Bumpers being killed for less. Truth is, black life has been marginalized. Murders and double homicides justified. And I'm wondering, when will oppressed folk mobilize and tell them, if you can't take 41 rounds, don't eject none. If you can't take 51 rounds, don't respect none. How many shots does it take? They are killing us before we grow. Last poem. You see, she's got children. Naturally, she thinks those numbers may not add to a relationship, but seductive thoughts emerge when we're close. She moves when I become erratic. She thinks I'm only erotic, but I am on no under to wine her. I'd rather wrap my soul around her soul, touch her skin, and hope in that exchange she'll feel born again. Baptized by African cherubims crooning Fela Kuti. In no water, no get no enemy. Her soul does pirouettes within me. Exchange tongues now, she calls my name in patois. Recites my name during boardroom discussions. They think she's schizophrenic. This shit is serious. Like a high-rise being built in Brownsville. Wondering if I could afford rent. Wondering if I could afford a rent. Paint brushing her soul. Touching her in many places at once. She smiles and says, Nkosi, your hands are like an octopus. I tell her no, maybe in my next life. Told her in my past life I was called God. Not because of religious affiliations, but because my G was OD and I was trying to save her. Trying to keep her close like white woman pocketbooks when they strut through Brooklyn, I was carrying her. Windsurfing on the wings of a love poem, she's like nights over Egypt. She's a hummingbird singing on the north side of the sun. She's the reason why in this poem, and only in this poem, she's the reason while I'm striving to become one. One. One.
Hey man, that was awesome.
Oh man, that was a good session.
Salute on it, you know what I mean? Word up. Hey man, it was great having you here tonight. Don't log out. You know what I'm saying? We end the show. Don't log out. But like I said, it was great having you here. Out of your own time of, you know, what's going on outside of, you know, here. So I just want to say thank you, brother. I appreciate your time and essence on Poetry's Paradise. And just to let you know too, got another show cooking up. It's the Poetry Corner. We bringing it back. You know what I'm saying? We had it from 2020 to 2023, but we bringing it back, maximizing it, and it's gonna be something special. You know what I mean?
Okay.
I've evolved, so the show will have evolved. So,
for sure.
So yeah, you know, Poetry's Paradise, Poetry Corner, we in the building, along with Q. You know what I mean? Let's Talk family. You know what I'm saying? And also everybody out there, click, like, subscribe to the channel. V.I.V.E 131. The vibe is always alive. And we out of here. Peace.